Number 101. The splitting of powers amongst the strata of government is that, like we said earlier, strata has to do with levels, layers, and tiers of government. We have the federal, we have the state, we have the local. So, how we split powers amongst these institutions of government? The federal is more powerful than the state is more powerful than the local, is that it won't be fusion of powers. Fusion of powers has to do with joining the executive with the legislature. It won't be separation of powers. Separation of powers has to do with dividing the executive from the legislature and the judiciary. It won't be unitary system. Unitary system has to do with putting all powers of a state in a single unit. The answer, having eliminated ABC, we are left with federalism. Federalism has to do with the division of powers between the tiers of government, and tiers of government are also called strata or layers or levels of government. Now to the next question. The system of government which relates to the non-coalescing of administrative authorities amongst non-coordinate institutions of government is dash. Now, let's calm down. The question says non-coalescing. When you coalesce power, you place all powers in a single place, you join powers, you fuse powers. So, but when it is non-coalescing, it means it is not placed in a single place, it is divided, it is shared. So the question now becomes the system of government which relates to the sharing or division of administrative authorities amongst, the question says non-coordinate institutions. Like I said the other time, coordinate refers to arms of government, legislature, executive, judiciary. They are at coordinate equal level. But non-coordinate, they are the tiers of government. That is, one is greater than the other. So how do we share and divide powers amongst the tiers of government? The correct answer is federalism. Federalism, or you could say division of powers. Now to the next question. The system of government which relates to the non-coalescing, that is sharing, which relates to the sharing of administrative authorities amongst coordinate institutions. Coordinate institutions are at the same level: legislature, executive, judiciary. So when you share the powers of the three organs of government, when the powers of the legislature are separated from that of the executive and separated from that of the judiciary, that concept is called what? Separation of powers. The sharing of the powers of the coordinate institutions, organs of government. That is separation of powers. Mind you, separation of powers was propounded by a French philosopher called Charles de Montesquieu, popularly referred to as Baron de Montesquieu. He wrote a book titled Esprit de Loi, which means spirit of laws, in 1748. Now to the next question. The system of government which relates to the coalescing, that is fusion, that is the joining of administrative authorities of coordinate institutions. Like I said the other time, the coordinate institutions, they are at the same level. So at the same level, they are at coordinate level, the organs of government. So which system of government has to do with putting the powers of these organs of government together? That is fusion of powers. Is that clear? So when you put them together, you join them, you fuse them. Are you getting it now? That is called fusion. Fusion of powers. And fusion of powers is a reality under parliamentary system, albeit that the prime minister is a member of the legislature and also the executive, and albeit that cabinet ministers are also members of legislature as well as members of the executive. Now to the next question. The system of government which relates to the coalescing, that is the fusing of administrative authorities in a single or lone institution of government is that when all governmental powers and authorities are coalesced or placed in the hands of a single institution of government, that is unitary system of government. The concentration, the coalescing, the joining, the fusing of governmental powers in a lone or in a single institution of government, that is, unitary system of government, otherwise called Unitarianism. Now to the next question. The system of government which relates to the joining or coalescing of administrative powers in a non-disparate institution of government. So when you place and join administrative authorities in a non-disparate institution of government. Now, disparate means many or separated or diverse. But when governmental and administrative authorities are joined and coalesced in the end of a non-disparate, that is same and single non-disparate institution of government. What do you call that? That is also unitary system of government. A single one. It is non-disparate. Is that clear? Now to the next question. Brazil, India, USA, and Nigeria are examples of countries practicing which system of government? Now, it won't be presidentialism. Why? India does not practice presidentialism, they practice parliamentary system. It won't be unitary. There is no country here practicing unitary. What about federal? Brazil is federal, India is federal, USA is federal, Nigeria is federal. So the correct answer is federal system of government, whereby they have a central government and component parts. Now to the next question. Enforcing of laws is the duty of the dash. That's the executive. The executive has the power to execute, implement, or enforce laws. And the enforcement of laws is carried out by the police. They maintain internal law and order, while the military, otherwise called the armed forces, they secure territorial integrity or defend the country against external attack. Now, what's the correct answer here? Option A, executive. Now to the next question. Who is associated with the taxonomy of constitutions? To taxonomize means to classify, to group. So, who is associated with the classification of constitutions? That was a Greek philosopher named as Aristotle. Now to the next question. Who described the state of nature as primitive and crude? In 1651, an English philosopher named Thomas Hobbes wrote a book titled Leviathan, where he described the state of nature and also spoke on the relevance of law and government. And he gave this eternal and popular quote that if there is no law or agency to regulate the affairs of the people, the state will degenerate into a primitive society where life was nasty, where life was short, where life was poor, where life was solitary, and where life was brutish. So the correct answer is Thomas Hobbes. Now to the next question. Which ideology abolishes law and government? When law does not reign supreme and people don't follow the law again, when the power of the government can no longer manage the affairs of the people, that is breakdown of law and order, which leads to a state of lawlessness. And in government, we call that anarchy or anarchism. So which concept refers to that? That is option D, anarchism. Now to the next question. The pronouncement of judges which have the force of law is called dash. Now, when a case is brought before the judiciary, also called judicature, also called courts, the judiciary will hear the matter and come to a conclusion and give a judgment. That judgment is a law and it is called case law. So it is a pronouncement of a court which has the force of law. It is called case law, also called judicial precedent, also called decided cases, also called previous court judgment. Now to the next question. Politics is commonly premised on two elements, namely dash and dash. The two major elements of politics, they are order and conflicts. Order and conflicts. It is about conflicts coming up and we looking as to how to resolve the conflicts and ensure order. Now, those are the two elements of politics. Now to the next question. When an action is outside the scope of the law, the judiciary declares it dash. Now, the Constitution gives the judiciary the power of judicial review. When the executive, they carry out a particular action, or when the legislature, they make a particular law, and a citizen or a citizen is not satisfied with it or believes such is illegal, we can approach the judiciary. Are you getting now? We take the executive or judiciary or legislature to court. The court is also called judiciary. Now, judiciary will examine whether the actions of the executive or the laws of the legislature, they are in line with the law. If they are in line with the law, the judiciary will declare the action intra vires. That is, that action carried out is within the scope of the law. Intra vires means within the scope of the law. But when an action of the executive or a law made by the judiciary has been carried out outside the perimeter, the scope, the spectrum of the law, the judiciary exercises their power of judicial review and they declare such action ultra vires. When an action is carried out in an ultra vires means you are not permitted to do it. It is outside your reach. The judiciary declares illegal, null and void, null and void. They declare it inconsequential. They declare it illegitimate. Now to the next question. The primary function of the plenum is that plenum refers to the Latin word for legislature and parliament. Now, what is the major function of the legislature? It is to make laws. And you can also say to make statutes. Are you getting now? The process of making laws is also called legislation. So to enact laws or to make laws. So what looks like making laws or enacting laws here, that is option C, enactment. Now to the next question. Use the items below to answer the questions. Roman number 1, electricity, prisons, primary election, tertiary health, rates, and currency. Now, numbers 117 says, which of the above is under concurrent list under federalism and under the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? We have the exclusive list. Any responsibility you see on the exclusive list is carried out by only the federal government. We have the concurrent. Anything there is carried out by both the federal and the state. And we have the final list, which is called residual list, which is carried out by only the state government. So this question is asking us for items here that are under the concurrent. That is, the federal can do it, the state can also do it. Electricity, only the federal government can do that. Prisons, only the federal government can do that. Primary education, that is the duty of local government under state. Tertiary health, state can do it, federal can do it. Albeit that we have federal teaching hospital Ido, we have Ekiti State teaching hospital Ado, so it means federal can do it and state can do it. Rate, that is by local government, and currency, that is by federal government. So the only thing here that is on the concurrent list that the federal can do and the state can also do is IV. And which one looks like IV here? Option C. Now to the next question. Which of the above is under residual list? Now we'll need to go back to look at residual list. Let's go back to 116. Residual list. Residual has to do with anything that only the state or local government can do. Electricity, federal. Prison, federal. Primary education, local government. Tertiary health, federal and state. Rates, local government. Currency, federal. So we have just two things here that are under residual list. That is primary education, which is Roman numeral 3, and rate, Roman numeral 5. Now let's go to 117. 3 and 5, that is option C. Now to the next question. Which of the above is under exclusive list? Now let's go back to 116 again. Exclusive means that only the federal can do it. Electricity, federal. Prison, federal. Currency, federal. So we have 1, 2, 6. 1, 2, 6. Now let's go to number 119. Okay, number 118. 1, 2, 6. 1, 2, 6. That is option C. Option C. Now to the next question. Presidential system is also called, Nigeria practices this. It is also called single executive system. Also called chief executive system. Also called unicephalous executive or monocephalous executive. Now to the next question. Laws passed by the National Assembly are assented to by the dash. Now, there is a concept in government called assents. Assent refers to approval that converts a bill into law. When the legislature makes a law in Nigeria, or when they deliberate on a bill, that bill is forwarded to the executive president for his signature, for his approval. That approval is called assent. Now, laws passed by the National Assembly are assented to by the dash. That's by the president, who is the head of the executive. So the correct answer here is option A. Now to the next question. Under representative system, sovereignty resides in the dash. Now, the question could have been under indirect democracy, under republicanism, or under representative system. Sovereignty resides with those who elect representatives. Sovereignty resides with them, power resides with them, authority resides with them. Who are those that elect representatives here? People. Not all the people will vote. Constitution, no. Elected government, no. So the correct answer is electors, electorate, or voters. So the correct answer is option C. Now to the next question. Which philosopher is associated with division of powers? Division of powers is also called federalism. And that is the concept or the doctrine associated with K.C. Ware, an Australian philosopher called Kenneth Clinton Ware. That's the correct answer. Now let's go to the next question. Which philosopher is associated with the supreme authority of a state? Now, what is the supreme authority of a state? Before 1960, did we have the supreme authority to govern ourselves? No. We were being governed by Britain. But October 1, 1960, we obtained on a platter of gold that supreme authority to manage our own affairs. That supreme authority is called independence, otherwise called autonomy, otherwise called freedom or liberation or self-government or sovereignty. So, which philosopher propounded sovereignty? That is a French philosopher known as Jamb. Jamb. Now to the next question. De jure means dash. It is a Latin phrase. We have two similar Latin phrases. We have de jure and de facto. Anything de jure means based on the law or according to the law, while de facto means not based on the law. So when leaders come to power in a way that is de jure, it means they have come to power in a legal way. But when soldiers hijack power, did they come to power according to the law? No, they came to power by force. So de facto means by force or not according to the law, while de jure means according to the law. Now to the next question. I think I've explained de facto, that it means not according to the law or by force. Now to the next question. Which philosopher is associated with non-illegitimate force? I've told you whenever you see questions like this in government, double negative. Minus times minus will give you what? Positive. So when you remove non and IL, you now have legitimate force. In government, force is associated with power, and legitimate force is associated with authority. So they are asking you for the philosopher associated with authority, and that is a German sociologist called Max Weber. Max Weber. Now to the next question. Esprit de loi means dash, and it was published in the year dash, and it was written by dash. Now, Esprit de loi was the name of the book, and it means spirits of laws. Spirit of laws. It is a French phrase, and it was published in the year 1748, and it was written by Baron de Montesquieu, or called Charles de Montesquieu. Charles de Montesquieu. Is that clear? Esprit de loi meaning spirit of laws, which year? 1748, and it was written by who? Baron de Montesquieu. That was where you wrote on separation of powers and checks and balances. Now to the next question. Membership of a state is dash, while membership of a society is dash. Everybody living on earth will belong to a country, and we have laid the foundation that in government, a state is also called a country. So it is compulsory for you to be a member of a state or a country. So membership of a state is compulsory. If you don't say compulsory, it is required, it is necessary, it is mandatory. While membership of a society is optional, you can choose to belong to the Christian society or not. You can choose to belong to the medical society or not. It is voluntary. It is not compulsory. It is optional. So while that of a state is compulsory, that of a society is voluntary. Now to the next question. The major aim of separation of powers is to dash, while the major aim of checks and balances is to dash. The two were written by Baron de Montesquieu. The major aim of separation of powers is to ensure efficiency in government. Now, we have three organs of government: legislature, executive, and judiciary. Imagine the same person. We make laws, we execute laws, and we punish lawbreakers. The work will be too much. There won't be efficiency. So, for that purpose, Baron de Montesquieu recommended that the powers of the legislature should be separated from the powers of the executive and executive from the judiciary for efficiency in government business. While they will now ensure that each organ should also monitor the other organs. Are you getting now? When the legislature who should make laws make a law that is against the law, we can take them to court and the judiciary can declare that law illegal. Are you getting now? So the major aim of separation of powers is efficiency, while the major aim of checks and balances is to ensure that there is no tyranny, no dictatorship, no despotism, to ensure that if any organ is acting in a way that is beyond their powers, the other organ will balance them back. That is checks and balances. Now to the next question. Executive pronouncements, directives, and laws is called dash. When the executive make a law, such a law is called executive order. Such a law is called what? Executive order. In case you see presidential order, don't pick it. It looks as if it should be correct. But what of when the governor of a state makes a law? He is the head of the executive. So the word that captures it is executive order. Now, where do you document executive orders? You document it in what is called gazettes. Gazette. So gazette is a document that consists of executive pronouncement, declarations, and orders. While the judiciary make laws called dash, that is case laws. Laws made by the judiciary are called case laws, or you can call them decided cases. Decided what? Cases. Or you can call them judicial precedents, or you can call them previous court judgments or past court judgments, which are documented where? Now, the record of previous court judgment is called law reports. Law what? Law reports. That is where you can find a compendium of previous court judgments. And laws made by the plenum. I've told you, plenum refers to the Latin word for legislature. So when the legislature makes a law, such laws are called acts of parliament, or you can call them legislations, or you can call them statutes or enactments, which are documented in a book called Answered. In a book called what? Answered. So the record of laws made by the legislature is called Answered. Now to the next question. Number 131. The sitting of the whole house of the legislature is called dash. In government, we call that plenary. Plenary. That's the sitting of the whole house of the legislature. Now to the next question. At what stage of a bill does the public and executive have access to contribute to legislation? That stage is called the committee stage. That is the stage where they have access to contribute to lawmaking. Now to the next question. Which wing of the judicature, that's judiciary, which wing of the judicature hears and resolves employment, labor, and industrial matters? There is a court, a special court, a non-regular court, that its responsibility is to only hear matters pertaining to labor, employment, and industrial matters. And that court is called National Industrial Court, NIC. So the correct answer is National Industrial Court. Now to the next question. The set of plans and programs which a political party and a candidate seeks to actualize when it wins election is called dash. The answer is manifesto. Manifesto. So that is the cardinal plan and policies and programs which a political party intends to achieve and actualize when they capture political power. Now to the next question. Who wrote on the permanence of states? A Greek philosopher named Hugo Grotius. He said, governments will come and go, but states are immortal. To be immortal means it won't die. It means it will be permanent. So he wrote on immortality of states, or you could say permanence of states. So which philosopher? That's Hugo Grotius, option A. Now to the next question. Which pre-colonial Nigerian society was collegiate? You know, when power is vested in the hands of a person, it means it is unicephalous executive. When it is vested in the hands of two persons, two heads for a country, that's bicephalous, that's parliamentary system. Single head, that is unicephalous presidential system. But when power is vested in the hands of more than two, or you can say in the hands of a committee or council, that is called collegiate executive. So where does power situate or locate? In a collegial or collegiate system? That is a committee or council. So which pre-colonial society in Nigeria was using something like a council? That was the Igbo pre-colonial society, where we had the four title holders. The oldest man from each clan, each family would represent them in the council of elders. Now to the next question. The process of removing members of the law enacting body is dash. Now, what's the law enacting body? To enact means to make a law. So the law enacting body is the body that is responsible for making laws, and that is the legislature. So how do you remove a member of the legislature? In government, we call it a recall. You recall a legislator or a lawmaker. But how do you remove the head of the executive in Nigeria? That is impeachment under presidentialism. How do you remove the head of the executive in UK under parliamentary system? That is vote of no confidence. But in this instance, the answer is recall, option B. Now to the next question. A political system without a distinct head is that when you have a system in which you can't actually locate a single person who possesses most powers, it means that society or that system is acephalous. Now, where is acephalous? That is option D. Now to the next question. The title of Alakmini and Adake was associated with the dash. That was the Oyo Mesi, the legislature under the Oyo Empire. The Oyo Mesi were known as the kingmakers. They had 7 members. It was headed by the Bashorun. You had the Bashorun, you had the Alakmini, you had the Adake, you had the Ashamu, you had the Akineku, and so on, and Laguna, and so on, and so forth. So the correct answer here is Oyo Mesi. Now to the next question. The D8 organization was founded in which year? It was founded in 1997, and the person who pioneered the establishment was Ebakan of Turkey, and the headquarters is located at Istanbul in Turkey. The members of the organizations are Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nigeria, India, and so on and so forth. Now to the next question. The appointment, promotion, and condition of service of secondary school teachers. Which government institution is responsible for employing secondary school teachers, promoting them, training them, handling their retirement matters, and so on and so forth? In Nigeria, we call them the Teaching Service Commission. Now, where is Teaching Service Commission here? That is option D. Now to the next question. The Chief Law Officer of the Federation is an appointee of the Executive President. He is called the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice. But at the state level in Nigeria, at Ekiti state level, at Kano state level, we call them Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. But of the Federation, that is Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice. He is the one who can enter into nolle prosequi on behalf of the President to discontinue a case. Now to the next question. The tax charged for the usage of public facilities is that. Now, like a public library, a public restroom, and so on and so forth, the type of tax paid to use such facilities are called user charge. Government charges you for using it. So where is user charge here? It won't be act, that's laws made by legislation. It won't be excise duty. Excise duty is a tax, charged on manufactured items at the point of production. It won't be custom duty, that is on imported items. So the correct answer is option C, user charge. Now to the next question. The existence of government premised on mandate When government comes to power based on mandates and support and acceptance and goodwill and recognition of the people, in government we target as what? Legitimacy. So when the government has come to power based on the support of the people, we say such a government is legitimate and they are enjoying legitimacy. Now, is legitimacy here? That's option C. So C is the correct answer. Now to the next question. Jamia Mutanem Arewa metamorphosed into Dash. We had a political party called Northern People's Congress, established by Sir Ahmadu Bello, and it had people like Issa Kaita. It had people like the first Kano. It had people like Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, and so on and so forth. They established MPC, but before establishing MPC, they belonged to a socio-religious organization called Jamia Mutanen Arewa, and MPC, Northern People's Congress, was formed in 1951. So the correct answer here is A, MPC. Now to the next question. Which party in the Second Republic was an offshoot of Action Group? Action Group was formed from a social-cultural organization called Egbe Omo Odudua. Egbe Omo Odudua was a group of Yoruba sons that were studying in London. Are you guys know? Bode Thomas, Akintola, Samuel Adok Akintola, Otto Prest, and so on and so forth, including Awolowo himself. And Awolowo championed the establishment of Action Group in 1951. And that was towards the independence and in the First Republic. But when this First Republic ended, in the Second Republic, Awolowo established UPN, and majority of those that were in the Action Group in the First Republic, they joined him to establish Unity Party of Nigeria in the Second Republic. Where is Unity Party of Nigeria here? That is option C. Now to the next question. Now, we are going to be clinical here. We have some political concepts, and we are going to be looking at the philosophers associated with them. Communalism, which has to do with, collective ownership of landed property. It is associated with President Julius Nyerere of Tanzania. Number 148, mercantilism. Mercantilism is associated with merchants or trade. Now, that is associated with capitalism. And which philosopher is associated with, writing of capitalism? That was Karl Marx, a German philosopher. Free trade, otherwise called Laissez-faire, which has to do with unrestricted enterprise, unrestricted trade and commerce. And that is also associated with Karl Marx. Individualistic economy, the economic system that allows individuals to set up businesses, it is called capitalism. Karl Marx wrote on individualistic economy in his book, Communist Manifesto.